Hey guys, welcome to this week's Chewing the Fat. Tonight I have a special guest with me, Anne Oakenfull. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's correct.
Anne's someone I went to high school with, and I haven't really seen much of Anne apart from at school reunions and catching up at those. And you've been on the Simplr Health protocol now for how long?
Oh, it'll be about 15, 16 weeks now.
Right,
Yep.
cool. So to kick off, how about you tell us a bit about what you do for a living and what had you jump on board with the Simplr Health protocol?
Sure. Currently, at the moment, I live on Moreton Island, about 40k off Brisbane coast.
Wow.
We run holiday accommodation. So I'm sitting out here in the paradise of on an island, enjoying that. So basically my days are pretty well full of running around, preparing properties for guests that we've got coming in, doing cleaning myself to fill in and do that sort of stuff, and gardening and anything that needs to be done, and then doing all the office side of it as well. So my husband and I are a two-man team and we just do everything. So So it's pretty full on. Prior to that, I spent 25 years working in laboratories. I have a scientific background, so I actually worked in Camden for 25 years for government, and then we decided to do a life change and moved up here. So away from that, and so we've been here for the last 3.5 years. So into a new field work.
So what was happening in life that made you think? And how did you find out and see and jump on board with the Simplr Health stuff? What was going on for you where you thought you
Okay, so for me, I've had health issues for quite a while. So I've got autoimmune problems. So I had autoimmune disease when I was 16, my first one, which was a immune system that wiped out my platelets in my body. So way back in high school, when you guys were at your year 10 formal, I was in hospital with doctors worrying that I was going to have a brain hemorrhage and die. So
I know this. How uninterested in people was I in high school? Wow.
In high school, what would people care? So that was my first scare, and then after I'd had my second child, I came down with Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. So I have a thyroid issue. So Dean talked about that in one of the Chewing the Fats a couple of weeks ago about people with thyroid problems and some of the challenges that brings. So I've been living with that since I was 24. So I've always found my weight fluctuates quite a lot. And it's very hard to get weight off. In the past, it's fallen off me in the last 16 weeks, which has been fantastic, which has been great for me. Just energy levels have improved. And so I've always been pretty health conscious because of those autoimmune disease issues. I've had removed gluten from my diet. I don't eat a lot of processed food. Tried to reduce inflammation in what I eat by selecting, things that are going to settle my immune system. But I just found it wasn't working, and we moved up here onto this beautiful island, and everyone comes over for holidays, so they're in holiday mode, and they're, you got to come and have a drink and sit down and watch the sunset. Oh, here's some cheese and here's this, and before you know it, you just feel like you're so worn out and your body's just had it. Because you just overindulging way too much in everything. So and then when COVID hit, that was even worse because then I wasn't working as well. So we went from flat out, waiting to hit Easter school holidays, to complete shutdown. The island was completely shut off. It was only permanent residents allowed on and off. So we were just nothing. So that was pretty a big pullback for me in terms of my physical activity. So I found that I stacked on 10 kilos like that. And then I suddenly went, oh, this isn't good. I'd had a hip injury as well. So I'd spent 12 months last year working with a physio. I've got a torn labrum in my hip joint. I used to do a lot of soccer and karate and that sort of stuff. So I'd had an injury, and it hadn't really affected me until it just got to a point where I could barely walk. So I started working on that.
Are they called ninjuries when you do
Injury,
karate? Ninjuries.
probably a soccer injury when I snapped my ankle. I think I might have done that at the same time, but hadn't realised. But yeah, it was just not good, and I was hobbling around and couldn't get in and out of my car properly, and it would flare up, and I'd be in agony. And I thought, I really need to get this weight off to help with that injury. So yeah, I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw you. What's Trevor up to? And so having a look, and I went, oh, you know what, that'll probably work for me, because I tried a few other things, and I tried to do keto just by reading about it, and I just couldn't get my head around the whole high fat thing that a lot of the keto diets put you on. It didn't sit well with me scientifically. And then when I started to talk with Dean, and he said, well, yeah, we pop you into ketosis, but it's not high fat, it's low fat, low carb. I was like, okay, well, this should suit me pretty well. So yeah, I thought jump on board and give it a good go and see what happens. And yeah, from day one, it's just been magic, absolutely magic. So
how much have you lost, like consistently each week on average?
Consistently about 1.5 kilo a week. So I went from 95, my goal weight was 75, and I'm sitting at 74. And I've just, today I went to phase 2. So it's just been, continually coming off with no problem at all. So
cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Been a good little, good experience all round, because for me it was about taking weight off, but it was more about getting my health back. And we're nearly heading to that 50, and I thought I really want to get into the best shape I can before I hit 50. And because up here, there's a lot of people up here that are retirees, and you see them around, and like we've got this beautiful beach, but they have to drive their car to the beach. They get their dog out to walk, to throw the ball for the dog, and then they get back in the car and drive back, because they can't walk, because they've got injuries and they're overweight. And I went, I don't want to be like that. I don't. And I could see myself going that way with this hip injury. I was just struggling to move so much. And I need to be physically active for my mental health. So I was like, no, I've got to do something about this. So yeah, Simplr Health, Dean, yes, off we go.
All right. So then what did you get out of the coaching experience from week to week, besides the weight loss? There'll be a lot of people I interview over the next couple of weeks that are in the same boat as you and I. They've lost 15, 20 kilos in 10 to 15 weeks and whatever. And there's some actually coming that are more than that. But there's more to it than just the weight loss stuff,
the weight loss was a bonus, but it's all the other aspects that go with it. So I think a lot of the time Dean and I didn't actually talk about weight loss. So, other things, and just because your brain suddenly becomes a lot more active, and it's so much clearer thought. So you get a zest for life in other areas of your life. So I'd gone from cruising in my business that we had to being a lot more proactive, and I'm studying some other stuff as well. And we've got a life plan to do this for 5 years and then go off and do other businesses. So for me, it was just a reignition of that spark to go and do other things and start to take control back in my life and go for it. So instead of just sitting around feeling terrible all the time.
That was one of the things I think I spoke about that in one of my calls. It was something that you just don't realise you're putting up with until you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
And I spoke again about being at Stuart's place and Stuart Wright's from Kerry's place, and putting on a 20 kilo weight vest. And that just blew me away, that I was putting up with and thinking it was normal, waking up with that haze, thinking, didn't even know there was a haze. It was just like, this is how life is. I'm getting older, and you put on a bit of weight, but I'm not too bad. And all
exactly.
When it goes, and because it goes quickly,
Mm-hmm.
Notice that real difference of just clarity and all those things. So what's that made available for you now?
It just opened up a heap of possibilities, and I've got a lot more energy in the evening. So because I'm working in my business during the day, and before I get home, and I'd just be, razzed. So you got no energy or mental capacity to take on other things when you're exhausted. So now I get home and it's like, yeah, okay, have a dinner, and then it's okay, what can I do now? Still raring to go. So I'm learning how to do share trading on the stock market. I'm learning things. So I'm just pushing myself. I've just signed up to do a learn to paint online as well. So I've got, paints coming. I've always wanted to learn to paint and do that sort of stuff. So it's like, I can do that as well. I've got energy and I've got time. So I'll do that. Just planning lots of things to go forward in the next 5 to 10 years of our lives.
Good for you. Lastly, what do you think? Do you think the result would have been the same? Not so much just in the weight. I mean, in the weight loss as well, but with the whole outcome as as an entirety. If Dean had just given you, here's what to eat, and good luck. See you later.
No, I don't think so. I think I would have maybe done it for a week or two, and then probably just started cheating and sneaking stuff in. We're having to write, because I kept the food diaries going for a long time, and writing everything down and making sure, because it's the little things like because I was eating that way, but my husband wasn't, so he was still having other things. But it's when you're preparing food and you go to put something in your mouth and then you go, oh, hang on, I can't have that. I'd have to write it down on my food diary. I had to have a chat with Dean about it. So no, I'm not doing that. I'll put that aside, and Tony can have it. That's fine. But it's learning not to do that and to think about what you're putting in your mouth. And that's one of the things that really made me realise was I was eating fairly healthily, but I was having the wrong combinations of food. So I'd have some carbs and fats together. And of course, then your body will just take that and stores it as fat. And I was eating too many nuts. Like, you think, nuts are healthy, but I was having too many. So, it's
probably guilty.
To look at what you actually are eating and what you're snacking on, even if it's healthy snacks, then how much of that are you actually putting into your body, and are you burning off? So
the education side of it was a real eye opener for me, because I've been interested in that side of things since high school as well, and I sort of knew how we worked with sugars triggering you to store fats and all that sort of thing, and amino acids and all those sort of things. But there were still things that I learnt along the way with Dean that I was just like, what? Yeah. Really? How come I'd never heard that? What? I didn't know that, And then a couple of the exercises you do along the way where you work out exactly what you're eating and what calories and your carbs and your fats and your proteins are coming from and things like that. And you're just like, that's a real eye opener as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Really good. Cool. Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Thanks for taking it on. Glad you're getting a lot out of it. And phase 2. So now you're eating another protein. Have you just started that this week?
Today. First protein lunch. So it was bizarre because I had my lunch and I got home and I went, oh, I'm not even hungry. Now I've got to have dinner.
It'd be great to see when you hit phase 4. That's when
exactly. Yeah.
Take a bit to ease into to be able to, I've spoken about them on chewing the fat as well, with walking through Woolworths and just nut, and I would have just inhaled most of that.
Yeah.
At the drop of a hat.
Yeah, I'm just hanging out for blueberries. Like, I'm a big blueberry eater, and I'm like, oh, I really could go some blueberries. That's,
Of all the things, that's the first time I've heard blueberries. I normally get, when I first hit phase 4, there's a few people I knew that were doing it as well, or still on phase 1, and they're like, have you had pizza yet? I was like,
no, not interested.
And I still haven't. That's amazing. I still haven't had pizza. They're like, what do you mean you haven't had pizza? I was like, I haven't really wanted it. You're kidding. It's the first thing I'm eating when I get on the phase 4 is pizza. I'm like, well, let's see when you get there and see if you still think the same.
Exactly. That was one of the things that I found interesting because we live on an island. There's no shops here, so we only go off to get supplies every 4 to 6 weeks. So trying to stack up on enough veggies, like green veggies and all the stuff you can have to last for 6 weeks is nearly impossible. So and you've got to be so organised with your protein powders and everything else so you don't run out and everything you have to have available. It's not as if I can just pop down the shop and get stock up on a few more greens. So
on the flip side, that's dangerous for me because, if I've got 4 to 6 weeks to have to survive on stuff and I just want something that's not so good, I'll 4 to 6 weeks and have it there. Don't want to run out of that.
And then it's there. But it's, so we don't have pizza shops here. We have nothing like that. So,
well,
so it's something on the radar.
That's great.
Yeah.
And how's life up there? It's going. How are you surviving COVID and everything?
We're flat out. We are, ever since the island opened back up in late June, because Queenslanders can travel locally, so we have just been smashed. So which is really good. We've been really, really busy.
That's great. And when are they opening up to New South Wales again?
They're moving the bubble for the border down to the other side of Ballina from the 1st of October. So some of New South Wales will be able to come up. But you still need a border pass. So I can't go home to visit any of my family in Sydney or anything like that. Without having to spend $3,000 when I come back up in hotel quarantine. So that'll be left for a while.
Yeah. I won't be getting up in an hurry. I live right near the Crossroads Hotel.
Oh, God.
I think I'm permanently banned from Queensland.
Yeah, exactly. They've got your name on the list. Trevor's not allowed.
Not allowed. Get out. Out.
Yeah, get out.
That'd be good. I'll have to come up. I didn't know. I'm sure you would have told me at a reunion that you did that. But.
Yeah, I think we had a brief conversation, but there's so much going on at those reunions.
I know, isn't it? All right. Well, thanks for chatting with me.
No worries.
Good luck on phase 2 and 3 and out onto phase 4. And no doubt I'll see you on Facebook and see how you're going. Send me a message when you get on phase 4 and tell me before we go, what did you see did you find anything else about yourself, about how you operate and how you work with food or how you use food to work with you? Have you got anything out of that?
Yeah, I have actually, because you kind of notice when you grab food as a comfort rather than when you're hungry, because you're thinking about, where I'd come home from a stressful day at work and rather interesting people at times in the holiday accommodation area, and you come home. I really could just smash a glass of red wine to just take that edge off. And I haven't touched alcohol since I started. And you realise how much you use that as a crutch for when you come home. And also for me, it was a relaxing thing of, we'd grab a bottle of red, go sit down and watch sunset on the beach. And that was part of your afternoon wind down. So stepping away from that. And then I had my son, he lives in Queensland. He came up to visit. And I was surprised how much I went, okay, well, let's put together a really lush picnic or something and use that as a family bonding type thing over that kind of food. And he's actually a type 1 diabetic. Right. So I had to rethink my whole process around how you show love to your family members by not doing it through food. So it was like, okay, I really don't need to, have a cake or, go and get hot chips or have a cheese and crackers and all the rest of it to show him that, hey, this is how I love you. I'm preparing you all this food. Let's go. We'll go. We went over and did pipping and fishing on the other beach, and we spent the afternoon doing that instead. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, we got to bond and have a great time together and all the rest of it, and not involve food or anything or alcohol or anything like that at all. So yeah, it was just made you realise how, I suppose it's probably the way that we were brought up was your parents showed you love by giving you treats and that kind of thing, because that was the special occasions that you got to have.
And they rewarded you with those things.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it was a reward. So it's just finding other things for the reward rather than a food-based, or an ice cream or something like that as a reward base. So,
and it makes you think. You still go on the beach to relax, but without the wine?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on the beach every morning and every night. So, we go down there with the dog and go for a walk and watch this. Well, yeah, it's hard work.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it.
So Latonia might have a beer, but I don't. I might have a sparkling water.
That's it. That could be jobbing. I'm finding an island.
Yeah. It was a tough life change.
That'd be good for you, Anne.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me, and I look forward to hearing about how you go in phase 4 and how it all ends up.
Yep, it'll be an interesting challenge over the next few weeks.
Cool. Thanks, Anne. See you guys. I'll see you next week for another episode of Chewing the Fat. I think I'm going to have another special guest with me to see how they're going as well. Give Dean a break. He's just flat out at the moment. Science, and it's doing his head in. So we're going to catch up with some people on protocol over the next few weeks and see how they're doing. And we're also going to have some scientific guests as well in different areas of brain health and heart health. And I think we're going to have the wine doctor on as well, the doctor that invented that wine. And they'll be talking with Dean, catching up on a few things like that too. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining us, and like the YouTube page and subscribe if you're that way inclined, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks, Anne. See ya.
Thanks. Bye.